the hardest things has been for me to deal with during this pandemic, if you will, has been creating some sense of normalcy for my family, for our kids. Um, like I talked about last week when I talked about being, blooming where you're planted. Um, we, hold on a second, JoJo, Jehu's here. What's up?
It's a little plane right now. Yeah, you can just...
Why don't y'all play with your brother, okay? Or y'all gonna come back in the car? Alright.
You know what?
Let them run around real quick. My lighting is terrible in here. Like I told y'all last week when we were kind of uprooted, we were uprooted. That was like, man, that was a tough reality to face because, like I said, we were going to be buying our first house. So when we got here, we came here with suitcases. That's it. Aaron went back to go get our car and a few more boxes with the kids' bikes and stuff in them that had been given to us, so we didn't want to leave those. But like no furniture. We had 2 computers, but one ended up breaking. The other one, they were both really old. But we had to start over. We had to start over from the ground up pretty much. Aaron was able to, fortunately, by Yah's grace, get a job in St. John, so he had to take the boat over to work every day and work the breakfast shift before he was able to find a new position here on island. But I'm going to tell y'all, it has been so tough, just as a mother, trying to create a sense of normalcy for our children, because being that we've homeschooled them for the last 10 years, we've faced quite a few adversities. And this is going to be kind of where I, share a little bit more about some of the things that we've been through the years that the Most High has given us the grace to overcome in spite of it. But when this pandemic hit, it was like all of a sudden now we got to figure out how to make life normal, quote unquote, for our children. I don't know about y'all, but that's been very difficult for me. I'm thankful that this year, because like the first year that we were here, we pretty much we just stayed in the house. We stayed in the house. The kids played around in the yard, but I got so frustrated with that. Just the kids not really being able to get out and just be kids. And then there wasn't a whole lot to do on the island because everything was kind of getting shut down a little bit. We're not throwing anything. So creating that sense of normalcy has been a lot. The kids stayed outside for the first year, but then after that, we were able to get them into the museum and afterwards get them into swimming lessons. So every week now we've been able to do that. We've been able to get them to swimming lessons. And then a family friend of ours connected us with a local coach here so that the kids can get into weekly basketball practice. And that's been so helpful because it's just been very difficult raising all of these children, and this world system does not at all care about, it doesn't care about their emotional well-being. It doesn't care at all. And that has been super duper tough. When you are in a world that's ever changing, it's constantly, changing to fit the agenda of the powers that should not be. And then you're trying to raise your family at the same time. And there have been times where I have really dealt with depression. I mean, I've dealt with depression in a hard way. I'm just keeping it 100. I have, not wanted to get out of the bed. I've not wanted to teach the kids. Forget it. What's the point? The whole world is getting ready to just collapse. We don't know when the Mashiach is coming to gather us up and take us into the wilderness. What's the point? We're going to get a new language anyway. Why teach them how to read? I went through all of these things in my mind. And there would be weeks and weeks where I would just barely half-cut teaching them. And it was hard. It was hard dealing with the depression of raising children to have some sense of normalcy when everything is just chaos. And I really had to seek Yah. I really had to seek him. I had to talk with my husband. I had to pray. I had to get back in his word to get realigned. Because a lot of times, when I'm on Ashanda at Large and I'm sharing the things that I'm sharing with you all, I'm not just encouraging you, I'm encouraging myself. Because it's been hard. It's been tremendously difficult to try to gather my thoughts, to be balanced in my perspective, and to remember that Yah's in control. And so by his grace, he opened up programs and things for us, but by his grace, I've been able to shift. Jay, who put grass on Alyssa's hair?
It's off my head too. It's all over my head.
Y'all stop throwing grass on each other, okay? Play and don't act up. But trying to create the sense of normalcy in an abnormal world is difficult without the Father's help. I look at the situations that we're in right now, all of us, as we still have the charge of being in the soundness of mind for our family's sakes. For our family's sakes. Not giving up for our family's sake. It's not easy. It's not easy, and I think that something that we're guilty of when we have platforms is causing people to believe that this navigating everything that we're facing right now is easy if you just have enough faith. It's not. So Lissy's joining me back in the car because she said it's hot. But I want to apologize. If I've ever come across like this thing is easy. The more and more I grow and learn, the more I'm willing to be honest with Yah, with myself, and with others, that it's not easy, that it's very difficult to continue to navigate through the midst of the storm. And especially as Israel, it's kind of like being a born again believer. It's like they told you the Joel Osteen type style, like, oh, all your problems are going to go away. You're going to be filled with purpose and blessings. And, and you're like, so why is my life so difficult still? Why am I still going through hell? Why has the hell increased now that I've become born again? Well, now that you know that you're Israel, it's like you would think that, okay, I know I'm Israel, so now I just got to learn. I got to unlearn, relearn, and I've got to do the feast days. I've got to stop doing the pagan holidays. And once I do that, then it's going to be all good. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. Because I think the thing is that what we seem to forget, even as Israel, is that this is still a heart issue. The heart issue is still the greater issue that Yah is dealing with among his people. It's not the outward things. And I believe in keeping the feast and learning about the feast. I don't keep all of them because I don't know all of them. I believe in learning the feast and keeping the feast. I believe in separating oneself as much as one can from the pagan holidays and traditions. I don't jump on people whose family members are still celebrating Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving, because I know personally firsthand the pressure, especially when you're under someone else's roof, the pressure to be pulled into these things because, out of their ignorance, their traditions. Y'all see what we're going through just with the vaxxed versus the unvaxxed. Okay, so when you talk about the traditions, it's even deeper than that. A lot of times people will outright bully you, shun you in your own home if you don't participate in these things. So you have to be wise about how you handle things. But, again, we have to really be reminded that it's not the outward things that Yah is the most concerned about when it comes to his people, Yasharal. We have a sin sickness. We have a real problem with sin. We have a problem with doubt, with unbelief, We have a problem, just like I'm telling y'all right now. Trying to raise your children in an abnormal world creates internal problems, depression. The suicide rate is up among our people in a major way. Domestic violence is up in our communities in a major way. And that has to be, they went to the bathroom, huh? That has to be acknowledged, because if we don't acknowledge these things and we kid ourselves into telling ourselves that, oh no, now that I know I'm Israel, these things I don't have to deal with on the inside. I don't have to deal with the enemy coming in and trying to give me his thoughts. That's a lie, because the New Testament is very clear that you're to take captive of every thought that exalts itself above the mind of Christ. And this is something for the Israelite believer, taking your thoughts captive. And so I'm not going to be on too long, but like I told y'all, I'm going to be doing these little snippets, these different thoughts that have come into my mind and my heart for my Patreon members. I have a new video that I'm going to be working on with my family who just came into town last week. I'm working on that video. Having some issues with getting it from the camera to the computer right now, but once I resolve that, then I'm gonna get that video up, because it's gonna be pretty nice. But just want to check in with you guys and let you know that I love you, and that if you are facing depression, if you're battling with depression, if you feel me on trying to raise your babies or your grandbabies, and you're struggling through that process, trying to create some normalcy in an abnormal world, just understand that no condemnation, okay? There's no condemnation for you who are in the Mashiach. Take it one day at a time. Take things one day at a time. Be prayerful about everything that you're facing right now, and allow yourself to be vulnerable. Find yourself in a community of people. Find yourself in a community of people of whom you can be vulnerable with. They can uphold you in prayer. Speaking of which, we have our 714 fellowship. And our 714 fellowship meets twice a month, on the first and third Thursdays of the month. And we're a small group, but I'm telling you, we're a group that's making a huge impact. And if you want to become a part of that 714 fellowship, I'm going to get the code for you to be able to access the Zoom. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the first and third Thursday of every month. And it's open to you to come. So thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate it. It helps us out tremendously. It helps my family tremendously. So thank you for just being there and supporting us. We love you, and you hold on. All right, family, till next time. These guys have definitely been improving over the last couple of weeks. They're out here like 3-4 days a week now practicing basketball and learning these great skills that they're going to need. Mal just made a shot, learning these wonderful teamwork skills and discipline skills that they're going to need in order to excel in life.